Everyone, it's Fitz with your post-game talk from McLane Stadium in the press conference room. That one stings. And, you can go back and look at the game and say, if Avery Johnson doesn't throw the pick, if they don't get the two-point conversion, there's other moments that if blocked field goal, of course. If any of those plays flip, K-State probably wins, or at least has a better chance to. But I can't escape the time management issue. I can't get there. I can't understand some of the decisions that were made on the offensive side of the football. You got the ball at the 4-yard line. It's second down. You've been running the ball with decent success. You're not breaking anything, but you're picking up some yards. You also have an enemy called the clock. There's 2 minutes left. Baylor has 2 timeouts. Now, it's hard to say if you do run the ball and still kick the field goal, if that Baylor doesn't win the game anyhow, but it sure would have been nice to find out. You need to eat the clock. And honestly, Baylor acted like they knew passes were coming. They brought blitzes. Running the ball probably would have gotten in the end zone. Chris Kleiman did say something really interesting after the game, that they would have considered going for the touchdown and not taking the lead with the field goal if they had gotten it closer. And as my friend here, Derek Young, pointed out, that makes the 2 pass plays even more baffling, because those you're trying to get into the end zone. And then at the end of the game, you just used too much time with that pass across the middle. You didn't leave yourself enough time to pick up 4 or 5 more yards, and thus you weren't fully in your kicker's range, and he had to kick a low line drive, and Baylor knew that and blocked it. They were ready for that. So in some ways, this really is about coaching. But when you look at the post-game stats, everything on here indicates K-State won the game. They had more yards, they had more time of possession, they had fewer turnovers, they had fewer penalties. You just go down the list. Everything was in Kansas State's favor, except the turnover led to points, which Kansas State's 2 takeaways didn't. And of course, then you had some plays where K-State didn't make the play. K-State goes up by 2 scores and gets the ball back. You have a chance there to pretty much put it away. With Baylor, you're never sure. I mean, seriously, Baylor can score so fast, but you make that a 3-score game, and how they approach things changes dramatically. I can't remember if it was 3rd and 2 or what, but Avery ends up rolling out and throwing the ball away. That's when a quarterback needs to say, we have to pick up this first down. We can't give them the ball back. They aren't winning this game if we perpetuate this drive. Maybe he wouldn't have got the first down, but the clock would have kept running. So I don't like second guessing little moments like that, but there's enough of them, you're just like, this team isn't quite there, whether it's coaching or making that play. And it's become very clear that they can't get these things done. It's a great frustration for all K-State fans. On the other side, I do agree with Chris Kleiman. That was more like K-State football. That was better. The effort's there. The defense, look, I know they gave up a lot of yards, but that team, that offense is incredible. And one of the touchdowns was defense. You hold the Baylor offense at 28 points, you should win. One other thing that stuck with me, they go down the field and score to open the game, and they have 3 empty possessions after that, totally abandoning what got them down the field, what worked. I'm really baffled. I'm really baffled how this team doesn't find ways to win. Did it against a clearly inferior opponent, North Dakota, but these close games, they're getting beat. They're not good enough. In tomorrow's Daily Delivery, I'll talk about some of the big picture things here, but for this team, they have to bounce back, and I don't know if and how they do that. Avery Johnson made it very clear he stands with Matt Wells after the game, and I can't get around those two play calls. I know you felt like you had something dialed up that's going to work. It's a little tight end, thing, but they clearly knew something like that was coming. The bag of tricks wasn't really filled with tricks. It was filled with reliable plays that a defensive guy like David Aranda, even though his defense isn't very good, he can make sure they're not going to give that play up. Lower the shoulder, keep the clock running, and if you don't get in the end zone, kick the field goal. But either keep the clock running or make them use their timeouts. It just changes the entire complexion of the game that they didn't have to call the timeouts, because now they've got 2 timeouts in their pocket. They can call different plays when they have the ball. They're throwing it down the middle of the field. They have no worry about getting up to the line of scrimmage and getting things snapped and rushing. There's no pressure on them other than the fact that they needed to score. I think everyone in the stadium knew Baylor would score. Can Kansas State answer enough? End of the day, they didn't have the answers. Whether it was coaching or players not making plays or just the fate of football, they fell to 2-4 with this. And now, I'm sorry the camera's shaking, but now they go home to play a really good TCU team. It's an enormous game. Week off and go to Kansas. There's a lot at stake, not just this season and these next games. How do these players and these coaches handle that as they head into a period of the season in which everything could collapse on them, including a long winning streak over your rival? What do they got? Well, if this game is a reflection, they're going to fall a little short, whether it's from leadership, performance, or just what it takes inside you to get it done. Avery Johnson rolls out on a 3rd down and doesn't put his shoulder down and try to pick up the 1st down. It's those kind of gamesmanship things that alarm me. There's certain things you learn as a quarterback. And it's unfair to compare anyone to Patrick Mahomes. It really is. But you go back a couple weeks ago, he's putting his shoulder down and he's making plays to extend drives. Football isn't always about scoring the points. It's about managing the game. And in terms of game management, this was an absolute disaster. Onward. I hope you're not giving up. I'm not giving up. I see this team has some qualities, but maybe they don't have it. Maybe you can help me define it. What is this team missing? Let me know in the comments.